Suprabhatam. You know what that means? Good morning in Sanskrit. Suprabhatam. Suprabhatam. Yes. It means literally good, su, prabhatam, sunrise, or morning, sunlight. So, Hare Krishna, thank you. I'm very happy to be here. My apologies for coming late. New York is an interesting challenge to get through, even on a Sunday. But, here we are. Today is a special day in so many ways. First day of Kartik Mas. You may wonder what's the word Kartik. It's related to Kritika. And Kritika is a constellation. And more than that, you have to ask the astronomers and the astrologers, because I don't remember. Or you can look it up in Wikipedia. But I just know that connection, Kartik and Kritika, is there. And of course, it's also the month of Damodar. Śrī Damodara ki jai. I was fortunate just a few days ago to visit Gita Nagari, where we have Śrī Radha Damodar. Who has been to Gita Nagari of you? And when was the last time you've been at Gita Nagari? Okay, not so long ago. For me it was 13 years since I was last there. But Radha Damodar, as some of you will know, are special deities in so many ways. And I felt blessed to have their darshan just before the month of Damodar. It's also, as I understand, today is being celebrated an anniversary of the appearance of Sri Gaurachandra. Is that right? Now you will know the history there. I don't know this history. How many years ago were they? 2 years ago. Oh, recently. Okay. Yeah, now that you mention, I was thinking, I haven't seen that yet. Okay, so, and I've been asked to speak something about Lord Chaitanya, so that we can do. I thought we can start with some singing, although you've probably already been doing singing. I haven't, so for myself. And then what's our schedule? What time are we ending this session? 12:30. Okay, good. So we have a plan. How many? We can project things. So I don't have to ask it. Could we have the song Haraye Nama Krishna, etc.? That would be nice to sing on this occasion, I think. Good. Yes, there we go. Do we have any mridanga players in the crowd? Do we have any kartal players in the crowd? Hare Hare Nama Krishna Yadavaya Nama Hare Hare Krishna Yadavaya Namaha Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha Gopal Govindara Shri Madhusudana Gopal Govindara Shri Madhusudana Giridhare Gopinath Madana Moha Giridhare Gopinath Madana Moha Shri Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Sita 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 Hari Guru Vaishnava Bhagavata Gita Hari Guru Vaishnava Bhagavata Gita Śrī Rūpa Śrī Sanatan Bhattaraguna Śrī Rūpa Śrī Sanatan Bhattaraguna Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasaraguna Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasaraguna Hare Hare Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha Hare Hare Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Bo, Hare Bo, Hare Bo, Hare Bo. Nitai Gaura Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Gaura Hari Bo. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Shri Radha Murlidhar Gaurachandra ki jai. New York Yatra ki jai. Gaura Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga.
Please scoot forward.
Please scoot forward, and if you can't scoot, then slide. And if you can't slide, then crawl. Hare Krishna, thank you. Let's see now. Yeah, maybe I'll keep this here. Huh. Hare Krishna. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutle Swayam Rūpa Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuttapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavangscha Śrī Rūpam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Śrī Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Śrī Vishakhanvitangscha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. There is a pranama mantra for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which many of you will know. It's nice to remember on this occasion. Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaura Tvishe Namaha. Yes, practically you all know. A pranama mantra is a mantra of offering obeisance. And there's probably thousands of pranama mantras, but this is a well-known pranama mantra for Lord Chaitanya. I offer obeisance to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is Mahavadanya Avatara. Vadanya means, sometimes translated, munificence. There's magnificence and there's munificence. And Maha means great. So Mahavadanya, he who is greatly munificent, or another word would be magnanimous. He is a giver. He is a Lord who gives. The Lord who gives, there is a Lord who takes away. Do you know a name for the Lord who takes away? Hari, yes. Yes, Hari. We worship the Lord who takes away. What does he take away? Takes away everything. Yes, indeed. But he's also a giver. And what does he give? Namo, he gives bhakti. He also gives bhakti, and because he gives bhakti, he also gives prema, the highest dimension of bhakti. And therefore he's called Krishna Prema Pradha. Are there more chairs that we could enlist? Because some others may want to be in chairs. More chairs coming. Chairs are on their way. One of the great inventions of the human species, the folding chair. Along with sliced bread. And what else? Paper clips? Yeah, sliced bread, of course, but anyway, that's another topic. So, Krishna Prema, yeah, everyone can keep squeezing forward. I can also move forward, back. Maybe you should push me back. Can you push this back? Can we push this back? I don't think I'll need it, no. Can you help? We're pushing me back because I'm not able to scoot by myself. I need a okay. To scoot the Swami. Whew, okay. Now that we had, I've heard of the Swami step, but this is the Swami scoot. What's got into us this morning? This is special energy. So, yeah, Krishna Prema. Krishna Prema Pradha. So we say, Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate. That ending, Pradaya, just means unto he who is the giver, da. Not just any ordinary giver, but a prada, someone who really, really gives it. He really gives, what does he give? Krishna Prema. Not just prema, but Krishna Prema. And when does he do this? Well, okay, let's get through the verse. Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya, who is Krishna, Krishnaya, Krishna Chaitanya, namne, unto he whose name is Krishna Chaitanya, who was given this name. Who knows who gave Chaitanya Mahaprabhu this name, Krishna Chaitanya? Yes, Keshava Bharati. Keshava Bharati, his sannyas guru, when he took the formal vows of the renounced order as a very young man, only 24 years old, he left home to the great, profound, deep heartbreak of his mother and his young wife, Vishnupriya. He took the renounced order. After some days, the devotees kind of arranged a trick that he would again meet his mother, and his mother is saying, "What have you done? You like your older brother." And Vishvarupa, his older brother, had taken the renounced order, had left home, and was never heard from again. Imagine the heartbreak to a mother for that. And now the younger son is doing the same. Can you imagine how she feels? So she comes to meet Vishwambar, or Nimai Pandit, who before that she knew as Nimai. And she's saying, how can you do this to me? And Vishwambar, who is now Krishna Chaitanya, says, Mom, I don't know what got into me. I'm sorry. It was some madness. But it's too late now. To take the vow of sannyas is a serious matter. So what's done is done. What to do? Then his mother requested him, you please go to Puri. Puri was sort of the Miami Beach of India for people of Bengal. When they would go on vacation, they would go to Puri. It wasn't as easy for them to get there as it is for New Yorkers to get to Miami. You just jump on an airplane. They had to walk for, 300 kilometers or miles? It's a long ways. They would walk. And they would walk. Later, the followers of Lord Chaitanya would come every year to Puri to meet Lord Chaitanya and to stay there for 4 months. 4 months every year. I always wondered, didn't these people have jobs? And who's paying for all the boga for them to stay in Puri for all that time? And it was a good number. We don't know. I don't think we know exact numbers, but I do know someone added up the numbers, the names in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, all the different names mentioned of Lord Chaitanya's associates. And it came to something over 300. So a good number of those, and probably many more, not mentioned, would have gone. So, where was I? Namo Mahavaranyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gora Tvishe Nama. Gora Tvisha, having a complexion, a brilliant golden complexion. So this verse is telling about the name, the form, the qualities, and the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya, all in one compact verse. And then it's saying, Namaha, I'm offering obeisance unto him. So it's a nice verse to learn and to offer to Lord Chaitanya. Something that always kind of stuck in my mind when I heard it from Srila Prabhupada about Lord Chaitanya, he was, in a sense, contrasting Lord Chaitanya to other appearances of the Lord by saying, unlike other avatars, or we say avatari, for Krishna, the Lord himself, appearing so long ago, and therefore kind of difficult for us to relate to in terms of thinking historically. He said, Lord Chaitanya appeared within the memory of us all. When I first heard that, I thought, wow, Srila Prabhupada can remember 500 years ago. That's amazing. Quite possibly. But there's, I think, another way to take it. There's something called cultural memory. And it's relatively easy for us in terms of cultural memory to remember, here I'm sort of using quotation marks, to remember back to the time of Lord Chaitanya. And So Prabhupada's point was that we can feel a special connection with Lord Chaitanya because of this period of time being not so vast. So we can feel some connection, we can feel some kind of relationship. And it strikes me that one way we can do this is to think about our own history lessons we had in school. Don't worry. I mean, I know you all had traumatic experience in your history class in 3rd and 4th grade and 5th grade. Yeah, it was traumatic, wasn't it? They made you learn all these dates, and you had absolutely no idea why you're learning these dates or these names of dead people. Right? And there was this war, and there was that war, and there was this war, and there was that war, and then there was another war, and then there was another war. That's basically what history amounts to. Well, there was also, related to the wars, there were other things going on, or maybe causing the wars. In Europe, okay, first of all, when did Lord Chaitanya appear according to the Western calendar? Which year? 1486. Okay, very good. Now, here comes a little test. A test of your history. Uh-oh. When did Gutenberg make his first printed Bible? Oh, very good. 1453, more or less. Maybe it was 1455, but maybe it was 1453. Who cares? Close enough, right? Okay, so the point is that in the West, something really quite significant happens, and one reason the invention of the printing press, I put that in quotes because they already had it in China long before that. They were block printing, and is that soon after that we get what comes eventually to be called the Protestant Reformation. One of the major issues in the Protestant Reformation, yes, I know you all can just blend those sounds out because you live here, but I'm a visitor, so when I hear this, it's like, so it was significant because it facilitated the printing specifically of Bibles. And this was a no-no as far as the Roman Catholic Church went. You don't just go printing Bibles in the vernacular language so anybody can read it. Oh my God, what's going to happen? People are going to start getting their own ideas about what it means. That's dangerous. So, and translating the Bible, that could get you the guillotine. Yeah, these things were going on. Well, as we know, the Protestant Reformation was not to be stopped. It was the cause of considerable wars that went on sometimes for decades. And these things were going on through the time in Europe that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in India was chanting Hare Krishna. It was just the year that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu departed the world. Which year was that? 33. Sometimes we read 34. So around that time, King Henry VIII of England made his sort of final break with the Roman Catholic Church and established the Church of England. Interesting. What sort of a connection can we make there with Lord Chaitanya? I don't know, but I think it's interesting to keep in mind that these sorts of changes were going on in India, but something else was going on. Now, here's a date that we all learned in school. What happened in 1492? Sailed the ocean blue. My God, everyone in America learns. Yeah, let's get it straight here. Who was? Yeah, and why was Columbus sailing the ocean blue? He was looking for India. And to his dying day, as far as I know, he thought he found India when he went to what's now called the West Indies, right? Ha, ha, ha. He never knew. He never knew that he never made it. But I think it's interesting that he wanted to go to India, and of course then further endeavors were made, and eventually in the early 16th century they made it to India. And I like to think they were coming because they were looking for Lord Chaitanya. They didn't know they were looking for Lord Chaitanya, but they were looking for Lord Chaitanya. Yeah. And there's so many things one might say about how the West came to the East. I put together a course which I taught at one university in Croatia a couple of times called Minding the East, in which I talk about how the West has regarded the East, South Asia, but also China and so on. It's a fascinating history. In any case, they were looking for India, ostensibly looking for spices, for various sources for wealth, for trade. At that time, if I remember correctly, the value of black peppercorns was greater than the value of gold in weight in Europe. And you had to go to India to get it. Anyway, so Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, meanwhile in India, what is happening? Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is appearing, and he's appearing in a wonderful way, in wonderful circumstances. And I just spoke of the sort of mundane circumstances of history seen from the West, but of course there's another circumstance which we may say is more significant, and that is the circumstance of the age in which we find ourselves, understood in the grand scheme of the cosmos, as we learn initially from Mahabharata and then later from Puranas, and is very pointedly highlighted in the Srimad Bhagavatam. And that is the age of Kali. Welcome to the age of Kali. So in this time, we're in trouble. We're in big trouble, but there's a solution. And that solution is given by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself. But the first few years of his life, this is his mission. Well, back up. his mission manifests in the very beginning of his life, we can say from day one, by virtue of the fact that he just so happens to appear during an eclipse. Was it a sun eclipse or a moon eclipse? It was a moon eclipse. And what do you do if you're living on the banks of the Ganga when there's a moon eclipse? You take a holy dip, as they say nowadays, a holy dip, in the Ganga, and while you're there, you chant, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And in this way, they were welcoming, they were ushering in the presence of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with his mission. And of course, there are the stories about how he would be pacified as a small child when he did not hear the holy name. What would he do? He would cry. And then the mothers all realized very quickly how to stop him from crying. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Have any of you mothers who have had small children tried this with your children? Does it work? Sometimes? No. Yes? No? Sometimes? So, but then as Nimai grows up, as he becomes a teenager, in some respects he becomes like any typical teenager. He starts to seem kind of wild and worrisome. Parents worry about their teenage kids, isn't it? What is going to become of this unsubmissive fellow? And so the elders of Navadvip were very worried about Lord Chaitanya. Now we may wonder why they would worry about him. After all, he had become a scholar. He was teaching Vyakarana, he was teaching Nyaya, and there he was in the Oxford of India. Navadvip has been referred to as the Oxford of India because it was the center of learning. This was a culture that had been developing since the 12th century. Since the time of Lakshman Sen, from the 12th century and 13th century, he was a big champion of learning and of the arts and so on. And it's said that Jayadev Goswami was living in Navadvip, hosted by Lakshman Sen for some time in the, I guess it would have been the 13th century. And then later, in the 15th century, Navadvip becomes a hotbed of logicians. All the logicians, they were congregating in Navadvip and arguing with each other and being logical. What did you do today? Oh, I was being logical. And Nimai Pandit was doing this also. Nimai Pandit was being logical and he was being grammatical. And he was displaying great pride. And this is what worried the Vaishnavas. So much so, Srivas Thakur was praying to the Lord. Srivas was very senior. Vaishnava, as Advaitacharya was very senior, and they were worried about this young man. Advaitacharya, after all, he had prayed for the Lord to appear because of the trouble of this age, and he was so overjoyed when indeed little Vishwambara appeared. But then now what is he doing? He seems to be going off the deep end of becoming a big, as Prabhupada would say, a big scholar, showing off his learning. But then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's father, Jagannath Mishra, departed the world, and this was a very painful loss for Mother Shachi, and it was appropriate for the eldest son to offer obsequies, the Shraddha rituals. And I said before, the Miami beach of India at the time was Puri. Gaya was the place for religious activity, especially for departed souls. So what would the equivalent of that be in America? Nashville, Tennessee, to Elvis Presley's tomb or something? I don't know. Forest Lawn, Los Angeles? I don't know. So Gaya was the place that you went to offer the rituals for your departed loved ones. And so Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went there, apparently with a small group of his students. And something happened to him. Something happened to him when he went there. Has anyone here been to Gaya? No? I've been to Gaya. You've been to Gaya? You've been to the Vishnu Pada temple in Gaya? Well, there's a Vishnu Pada, there's a temple which has a big stone in the center with a footprint in the stone. And this is Vishnu's footprint. And this is what they worship in this temple. And there are different versions of what happened, but there's this idea that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he came there and he saw this footprint of Vishnu, something changed. Now the other half of this story is that, of course, he met his guru. What's the name of his guru? Ishvarapuri. He meets Ishvarapuri for the second time. He had already met earlier in Navadvip. Now he meets him again. And Ishvarapuri initiates him. He initiates him into a mantra. Which mantra do you suppose that he initiates him into? This is a question for Satyaraj, our scholar on Lord Chaitanya. That's you. The 10-syllable Gopal mantra. You all thought I was going to say the Hare Krishna mantra. But the 10-syllable Gopal mantra, well, okay. But then what is the result of that initiation? According to Krishnadas Kaviraj, he becomes mad in ecstasy. He becomes mad in ecstasy, so much so that he becomes worried about himself. Any of you, after you received some mantra, you became mad and then became worried about yourself? No? We're working on it, right? We're working on the madness part. So he goes back to his guru. Actually, we can say this is the third time that he's meeting his guru, and asks him, "What have you put in this mantra? What potion have you given me?" Right? And so when Ishvarapuri hears about this, he's very happy. Oh, this is wonderful! You are the effect of the medicine it's taking effect on you. Very good. And he quotes a verse from the Bhagavatam, from the 11th canto. Let me see if I can remember it. Evamvrata svapriyanama kirtya jatanurago druta chitta uchai hasatyato roditi rauti gayatyun madavang nrityati lokabahya. He says, the basic idea is one who takes this vow of chanting the holy name will be chanting, but also dancing, but also crying, and in general becoming perhaps a little mad. And lokabahya means considering the world as external and therefore not really caring. Not really caring what people think. I think we're all a little self-conscious about ourselves in so many ways, in so many circumstances. Śrī Radha Murlidhar Gaura Chandra Ki Jai. But Lord Chaitanya was not like that. And so what happens when he comes back home? When he comes back home to Navadvip, something has changed. When he comes back, the residents of Navadvip are quite surprised and wondering what to make of this Vishvambar of Nimai Pandit. Maybe we can read a little bit. I think I've located something here. Yes. When I first joined the Hare Krishna movement in Germany, just very soon after I joined, a new book came to us from America, from Srila Prabhupada, and it was called Lord Chaitanya in 5 Features. It was a paperback book. Any of you have seen that book? Lord Chaitanya in 5 Features. I think it's a collector's item now. It was Prabhupada's translation and purports to Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila, chapter 7. Did it include 8 also? I'm not sure. In any case, 7. Because after Prabhupada had translated this, he became so excited. He said, this has to get out. We can't wait to print the whole thing. To publish the whole book. That's going to take some time. Let's get this out immediately. And so when we got that book, we devoured it. And it got us so excited to get out on the street to distribute the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. So this spirit was Lord Chaitanya's spirit, when he came back to Navadvip. Initially, he would keep it just amongst himself and his friends, but he couldn't contain it. After some time, the saṅkīrtana movement had to break out beyond the limits of the inner circle. Let's read. This is Adi Lila chapter 7, verses 18 and 19, if you want to post. Jashabalaya prabhu nitya bihāra, Jashabalaya prabhu kīrtana-pracāra, Jashabalaya koren prema ashadon, Jashabalaya dan kare prema-dhana. The internal devotees or potencies are all eternal associates in the pastimes of the Lord. Only with them does the Lord advent to propound the saṅkīrtana movement. Only with them does the Lord taste the mellow of conjugal love, and only with them does he distribute this love of God to people in general. Let's continue. Let's move to the next verses. She panchatattva mili prithiviyasya purva prema bandare mudra ugarya panche mili lutte prema kare āsvādana jata jata piyek Krishna badhe anukhan. The characteristics of Krishna are understood to be a storehouse of transcendental love. Although that storehouse of love certainly came with Krishna when he was present, it was sealed. But when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came with his associates of the Panchatattva, they broke the seal and plundered the storehouse to taste transcendental love of Krishna. The more they tasted it, the more their thirst for it grew. So I like this image. There's a storehouse, and we have a breaking into the storehouse. Now, this is the first day of the month of Kartik, which is the first day of the month of Damodar. And what could this breaking into a storehouse by Lord Chaitanya remind us of? Krishna breaking into the storehouse of yogurt and butter and breaking the butter part and distributing it to the monkeys. Why does he distribute it to the monkeys? Give them bananas or something. Yeah, so there's a bit of a parallel there. And of course, all the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya have something of a parallel with Krishna's pastimes in certain respects. And so many of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's associates are identified later as being none other than associates of Krishna in Krishna Lila. And so you can think, as you read the Chaitanya Charitamrita, one way to read it is it's a kind of reenactment, or I like to think of it also as an encore to Krishna Lila. At the end of the drama, at the end of a play, everyone applauds, and when there is thunderous applause, they want an encore. So the players come out and they do some additional performance. Lord Chaitanya is the encore, but there's something else going on, which I want to call your attention to. Later, after Lord Chaitanya takes sannyas, and he eventually gets to Puri, following the order of his mother. Actually, initially he doesn't really obey his mother. His mother told him, go and stay in Puri. Did he stay in Puri? No. Very shortly after that, he left Puri and he traveled south. But he had an excuse. What was the excuse? Do you know what his reason was? Yes, he was looking, that was the excuse. He had to look for his brother, Vishvarupa. And in this way, of course, what is he doing? He's spreading Krishna consciousness, he's spreading the holy name all over India. And it's going to be another, altogether, Krishnadas tells us, 6 years before he really settles back in Puri. But when he settles in Puri, what does he do? How does he spend his day in Puri? What's his daily routine in Jagannath Puri? What's he doing there? Anybody know? He's chanting. Yes, he's chanting Hare Krishna. And is he doing it all alone? At least for the first 6 years, again, according to Krishnadas, for the first 6 years, he would be very much with the devotees. And, of course, they would assemble. Where would they assemble?
Srivasa's house.
Not Srivasa's house. Srivasa's house is in Navadvip. We're in Puri. Huh? Yes, they would go in the temple of Lord Jagannath, and they would have the darshan of Lord Jagannath, and they would have kirtan. And here is a footnote I like to add here. I think it's important for us to be aware that Lord Chaitanya was not he was not being selective about who could participate in those kirtans, as best as we know. He was extremely selective in the house of Srivas Thakur in the early days in Navadvip. But in Puri, anyone and everyone would join in. And when I say anyone and everyone, I mean there were all kinds of people. There were Shaivites, there may have been Buddhists, there were probably Mayavadis. All kinds of people were there because there are all kinds of ideas about who is Lord Jagannath. People worship Lord Jagannath with all kinds of ideas because he's Jagannath, he's Lord of the universe. And so it was a very cosmopolitan program. It was kind of like New York. It was like everyone was welcome, and this was a very nice spirit. So he would spend much of the day with the devotees, chanting and singing, and then after these 6 years, he became, more. It became more of an internal activity, and we see Lord Chaitanya more by himself and with his intimate devotees, and they are hearing and chanting together. And what is it that they are hearing and chanting?
Dramas.
Yes, dramas, and what else? Srimad Bhagavatam, yes. There's a famous painting that shows Lord Chaitanya, Lord Nityananda, Gadadhar Pandit, Haridas Thakur, and it shows also King Prataparudra, who is doing Dandavat. Gadadhar Pandit has a manuscript of the Bhagavatam in front of him, and he is reading. He's reciting the Bhagavatam. Lord Chaitanya and the others are sitting around and they're listening. And Haridas Thakur has just hung up his gamcha after having taken a bath. So he's in his kopans. It's kind of funny. It's like, is it Haridas in that picture, Satyaraj? Yeah. So my point is that Lord Chaitanya, you can read the Chaitanya Charitamrita as an inspiration to read the Bhagavata, because it's the story of the perfect, the ideal reader of the Bhagavatam. Lord Chaitanya is the ideal reader of the Bhagavatam because he is Krishna himself. He's the one that's being spoken about in the Bhagavatam. So he's reading his own story, and as he's reading his own story, he's becoming ecstatic. And as he becomes ecstatic, everyone else becomes ecstatic, and it's a wonderful thing. Okay, I want to jump now. Maybe I should stop though and see if you have some comments, and maybe you have a favorite pastime of Lord Chaitanya you want to share. But I had one more I wanted to share. Let's see. Adikanda, no. Oops. Contents. No, I think. Where are my documents? Let's try this one. Okay, here we are. Okay, this is going back to Navadvip, and this is from Chaitanya Bhagavata. I'll just read this, so I think we don't need to follow. This is from Chaitanya Bhagavata, Madhya Kanda, chapter 1. In the house of Shivas there was a kunda flower tree that appeared like the incarnation of a kalpavriksha. The Vaishnavas picked from that tree as many flowers as they liked, but the supply of flowers always remained inexhaustible and undiminished. After rising in the morning, all the devotees would regularly meet there to gather flowers. Gadadhar, Gopinath, Ramai, and Shivas all enjoyed transcendental mellows while discussing topics of Krishna as they picked flowers. At that moment, Shriman Pandit arrived there with a smile on his face. They all said, "It seems you're very happy today." Shriman Pandit replied, "There is, of course, a good reason." The devotee said, "Please explain." Shriman Pandit then said, "Please hear the reason." Parama adbhuta kota maha ashambhav nimai pandit hoila Parama Vaishnav. A most wonderful and most impossible incident has occurred. Nimai Pandit has become the greatest Vaishnava. So this was just after he had come back from Gaya. Hearing that he has happily returned from Gaya, I went to greet him yesterday afternoon. Everything he said revealed his utmost aversion to the world. He did not display any arrogance for even a moment. Remember, he was so arrogant before, and now no arrogance. In a secluded place, he began to speak about Krishna and the wonders that he had witnessed at various places. As soon as he mentioned the name Parapadmatirtha, the area around him became filled with his tears. His entire body began to tremble. This Parapadmatirtha refers to this temple I mentioned in Gaya. His entire body began to tremble, and all the hairs on his body stood on end, calling out, "Oh, Krishna!" He fell to the ground. When he fell unconscious, there was no sign of life in his body. After a while, he regained his external consciousness with a startled motion. Then, finally, he began to shed tears as he called out the name of Krishna. It appeared as if Ganga herself was flowing from his eyes. Now, you and I will all say, oh, that's an exaggeration. But why not? The Lord himself, he is the source of the Ganga. By the devotion that I have seen in him, I no longer consider him an ordinary human being. On regaining external consciousness, he said only, let us meet at Shuklambar's house early tomorrow morning. I wish to reveal my distress to you, Sada Shiva and Murari Pandit. There is every reason to believe this was most auspicious news that I have given you. On hearing this news from Shriman Pandit, the devotees triumphantly chanted the name of Hari. The magnanimous Srivas was the first to speak. May Krishna increase our family. What does he mean by that? The family of devotees. So he's seeing, oh, Lord Chaitanya is coming. Now the family of devotees is going to increase. Gotram nu vardatam iti. He is quoting Sanskrit. May our family increase. And all the devotees happily discussed topics of Krishna. A most auspicious and enchanting sound vibration arose. All the devotees repeatedly exclaimed, may it be so. Let everyone worship the lotus feet of Krishna Chandra. So we have Gaura Chandra, and here they are praying to Krishna Chandra that they be blessed. In this way, after picking flowers, all the devotees returned to their homes to perform their daily worship. Shriman Pandit went to the house of Shuklambar Brahmachari on the bank of the Ganga. After Gadadhar Prabhu heard the news, he quickly went to the house of Shuklambar, thinking, let me hear what topics of Krishna he will relate. Gadadhar hid inside Shuklambar's house. Soon, devoted companions of the Lord, like Sadashiva, Murari, Shriman, and Shuklambar, all gathered there. At that time, Vishwambar, the king of the twice-born, arrived there to meet the assembled Vaishnavas. They all greeted him in great happiness, but the Lord did not manifest any external vision. As soon as the Lord saw the devotees, he began to recite verses glorifying the characteristics of devotional service. Painu isharamora kondike gala attabali stamba kole Koriya Parila, I attained my Lord, but oh, where has he gone? Saying this, the Lord fell to the ground while holding a pillar. The pillar of the house broke under the pressure of the Lord. As he fell to the ground, his hair scattered, and he lamented, Kota Krishna, Kota Krishna, Kota Krishna. Where is Krishna? Where is Krishna? Where is Krishna? As soon as the Lord fell to the ground, exclaiming, Oh Krishna! Ha Krishna! All the devotees tottered and also fell to the ground. Gadadhar Pandit fell unconscious within the room. No one knew who fell on whom. There's been a pile-up of Vaishnavas. All the devotees lost consciousness due to ecstatic love of Krishna, and the goddess Jahnavi smiled in amazement. After some time, Vishwambar regained his external consciousness and began to cry loudly and piteously while calling out the name of Krishna. Krishna re, Prabhu re mor, kon dikke gela, attabali Prabhu puna, bhumite porila. O Krishna, O my Lord, where have you gone? Saying this, the Lord again fell to the ground. The son of Shachi cried out out of love for Krishna, and all the devotees surrounding the Lord also cried loudly. So Lord Chaitanya's, what Vrindavandas Thakur is suggesting here is that Lord Chaitanya's mood was infectious. He had made this amazing transformation, and now all the devotees are welcoming him. Their prayers have been answered. Remember, they were worried about him, but now their prayers have been answered, and he is manifesting his actual self as he is Krishna himself, and he's in the mood of being a devotee of Krishna who is feeling that Krishna is not present. And so, as His Holiness Damodar Swami wrote in one of his Monday morning greetings around the time of Lord Chaitanya, he said, Krishna had a problem. You know that one? Krishna had a problem. What was the problem?
He wanted to be a devotee.
The problem was he had no love for Krishna. And he said, and he had the same problem that we have. But he had a solution, which was to appear as Lord Chaitanya in the mood of a devotee. So being Krishna in the mood of the devotee, then he can experience love of Krishna. Hare Krishna. Shri Gauranga Mahaprabhu ki, Shri Gaurachandra ki, Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki, Gaura Premanande. Hare Krishna. Comments? Yes.
Thank you, Maharaj. Most relishable class. I had a question. Could you speak about how Mahaprabhu received the 10-syllable Gopal mantra, but he propagated the 16-syllable Mahamantra?
That is a mystery. What I find mysterious is that you will find in not one single verse in the entire Chaitanya Charitamrita the 16 names of the Mahamantra. Not once. Why is that? It is found in one place in the Chaitanya Bhagavata. Otherwise, all we read is, they then chanted Hari Hari, or Hari Krishna, or Hari Rama, or Hari Bolo. But you never see the whole mantra. And it seems that I'm here a little bit in speculative mode, because traditionally you don't advertise mantras. You don't write them down. You hear the mantra from the Guru. And so Krishnadas didn't want to give that mantra. That may be an explanation. But how he went from 10-syllable Gopal mantra to Maha mantra, you'll have to ask Srivas Thakur. Because it was in Srivas Thakur's house that he was, as best we know, they would have been chanting the Maha mantra. Yeah. Yes, Maharaj.
That problem that you said that Lord Chaitanya had, he didn't have love for God. But I think in that Monday morning meeting, if I'm not mistaken, the point was to show that the way he gets it, because he's trying to show us how to get it, is that he has, since he doesn't have it, he has to go to somebody who does have it, which is his spiritual minister.
Which? What?
His Ishwar Puri.
Oh, I see, yeah. Well, this is,
So he has to,
yeah,
he has to get from the association of
yeah,
instruction for us.
yes. Well, this was part of what he was saying, but it was very rich how he explained it.
Yeah,
But
it's
yes,
another aspect.
Yeah, that's an important aspect. Thank you. Yeah. Good. Yes.
See that Lord Chaitanya sometimes is criticized. He didn't really make any political or social revolution. He didn't try to change the caste system. He didn't work for the Muslim rulers at the time. What can we learn from this for us, the present context?
Oh, that's a whole seminar. The question is, we don't seem to see in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's life a sort of social or political activism. He was kind of so much absorbed in chanting Hare Krishna and so on. And so what can we take from this for ourselves? One thing we can take, I would say, is what Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur responded to Srila Prabhupada when Srila Prabhupada first met him and objected because he himself was politically active. He was, Prabhupada said, he was a follower of Gandhi, and he objected. He said, your Hare Krishna movement is irrelevant until we Indians gain independence. And then Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur said, no, it has nothing to do with any political condition. We can spread the teachings of Lord Chaitanya in any political and social state. Having said that, I think we can see in the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya that he is, in the circumstances in which he finds himself, doing what he sees as possible to be done. He is challenging the rigid caste system in so many ways, and he's really cutting through it with the saṅkīrtana movement. He's inviting everyone to join. So instead of trying to make a political movement, he's cutting through all the layers, so to say, of material life by giving the essence of it all. Having said that, I think we also need to be politically and socially conscious and aware and show appropriate appropriate understanding and willingness to encourage anyone who is in a position of being oppressed to get out of that condition, and anyone who's in a position of being an oppressor to stop being an oppressor. But how to do that effectively? We want to say there is an ultimate goal which we don't want to neglect for the sake of temporary goals. And I think Prabhupada wanted to emphasize this is our primary task. There are already so many social and political movements. That's nice. They can be very important and valuable, but we have a particular mandate. Yeah, but as I said, that's maybe a longer discussion. Mother Mini. Yes? Thank you for reminding. Yes, I think that's mentioned in that series of verses. In fact, I think it's mentioned. Yeah. Yes, the essence of the Bhagavata. Nice. Is it Arti now? Okay, so we should. Thank you all so much for your kind attention, participation. Śrī Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Premanande.